We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome in and raise the AFC West banner. This is the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Chiefs post-game show, Victory Edition. My name is Patrick Allen. I think it's safe to say you can raise that banner for the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs take care of business after a rough first half for the defense, 31-17 over the Los Angeles Chargers, and what I am calling Redemption Sunday for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Now, keep in mind, we're going to have Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated is going to be joining me in just a few minutes. Just a huge, massive win for the Chiefs, one they had to have. It sets them up for playoff success, taking care of business against the Los Angeles Chargers. And the story of this game, again, for me, is going to be redemption. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. Before I do, I got to let you know that DraftKings is running a new promotion that you don't want to miss. New users can place a $5 first bet and instantly claim a $200 bonus bet. You will also be rewarded with a separate, no-sweat single-game parlay every single day when you opt in. All you have to do is sign up and use our code Arrowhead. Using our code Arrowhead not only gets you these great bonuses, but it also directly supports this podcast. It's important. If you've been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure to use our code Arrowhead to maximize your first bets and parlays. This offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly and check out the entire episode description for the full terms to see if you qualify. All right, let's get into it. Now, why is it Redemption Sunday? Well, this was, I think, a redemption game for a number of Chiefs who were taking a lot of heat. And rightfully so. I'm not saying maybe that some of the heat wasn't deserved, but it was redemption for Mecole Hardman, who everyone thought was a huge bust for Kansas City. It didn't work out. Thanks. See you later. Good luck in New York. We're going to bring up these young guys. And what happens? Mecole Hardman comes back. He comes back, and during the week, people complain. They complain about Mecole Hardman. Oh, we gave up a third-string defensive tackle, the draft capital. We don't need him. He sucks. He's not any good. He couldn't get on the field in New York. And what does Mecole Hardman do when he comes back to the Kansas City Chiefs? He has a huge punt return in which he was absolutely electric for 50 yards, setting the Chiefs up. And he has a catch, a key catch for a first down, a difficult catch late in the game. Mecole Hardman looked right back at home in Kansas City. Yeah, he had one catch for 6 yards in the punt return, but that's what you want. You could see it, right? When he was on the field, the juice that the guy has, sort of like the opposite of when Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the field, when you're like, why does that guy look like he's running in cement? You see why the Chiefs wanted to get Mecole Hardman back in the mix. Great move by Brett Veach, big brain stuff by him. He didn't have to sign him to some big deal. He let the market play out. He goes to New York on a one-year deal, and Brett Veach gets him back for a late-round pick that he'll probably get back in compensatory picks or something later on anyway. So Redemption Sunday, right? Redemption for Mecole Hardman. Redemption for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's been called the all-cardio team. They said he's running wind sprints out there. Again, I'm not saying the criticism wasn't valid, but he was taking a lot of heat. His yards per route run was terrible. He's not contributing. That's all fair. Those are fair criticisms of Marquez Valdes-Scantling. But what does he do today? 3 receptions, 84 yards, and a tutty. Congratulations to MVS for getting off the schneid. Absolutely fantastic day for him. So we had some redemption for some guys. And I think that that's exciting. And it's a good reminder that it is a long season and to not throw dirt on top of these guys' graves so early. as Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated joins us. Verderame, I was just saying, little bit of some redemption storylines for some guys in this game. Mecole Hardman, Marquez Valdes-Scantling gets off the schneid, starts making some plays for this team. What do you think? What do you think about the return of Mecole Hardman?
Look, I mean, he made 2 game-clinching plays late in the game. Like, he wasn't unbelievable statistically. If you look at the game, I mean, he really didn't find his way in the end zone. He had a couple catches, I think it was. 1 catch for 6 yards on 3 targets. Like, you're not overwhelmed by that. But I thought it was very interesting in that spot. It's 3rd down. I think it was about 7. And the Chargers brought an all-out blitz. And Mahomes never looked at anybody else. He knew he wanted to go to Hardman on that play. And Samuel had pretty good coverage. Like, he put it up to him and basically said, I trust you to make a play on the ball. And he did. I think that shows you something. Like, he doesn't have, like, Mahomes is one of those guys, and Brady was like this, and Rodgers has been like this. He has to trust you. And if he trusts you, he'll go to you. You saw in that moment, he had trust in him. He believed he was going to make the play. And in the end, that play is big. Of course, the massive play is the return, the 50-yard punt return by Hardman that essentially set up that whole drive anyway.
Yeah.
It really was a game that Hardman contributed to in a big way, even though if you look at the stat sheet offensively, you don't see much.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And the last player, just to put a bow on this segment, in Redemption Sunday is Drew Tranquill. Drew Tranquill, Chargers don't bring him back, hits free agency, comes to Kansas City. He's been there for 4 years, was a really good player for them. Nick Bolton goes down, unfortunately, with maybe it looks like might be a broken wrist. We'll find out.
Yep.
Hope he's okay and gets well soon. Drew Tranquill steps up, gets a big sack. So a redemption for him. And shout out to our guy, Angry Drunken German, for the super chat. Won my 5-leg parlay to bust a 7-week losing streak. First round's on me. Appreciate you, man, as always. Verderame, what do you think? This was kind of a weird game, right? I mean, the Chiefs offense came out looking like we expected to see it all year, and the defense came back and it came out and looked like Bob Sutton was back in charge of it.
Oh, let's not. No.
In the first half, that was pretty bad. But then they totally turned things around. What do you make of this defensive performance from the Chiefs? Another game where 17 points is all they gave up.
I'm going to be honest. It really, in an odd way, like, I won't say it was the most impressive performance because they played better in other games. I mean, Jacksonville, they were dominant. And that's a very good offense. But I was maybe most impressed by it from the standpoint that they were getting lit up in an embarrassing fashion the first half of the game. Give up a big touchdown run to play where Justin Reed gets caught out of position. Okay. And then Palmer doesn't score, but Cook gets turned around and the safety gets beat and so on and so on and so on. They came out in the second half of the game and the Chargers had a drive to start after what? Look, I am never a guy. I don't do the whole officiating thing. I was shocked that was not overturned, that Blake Bell fumble.
Yeah, same.
Like, they went to commercial. I'm like, oh, it's definitely an incomplete pass. And then they came back and I'm like, nope, it's not. The Chargers got the ball there and rolled downfield and you felt like, all right, this could be, tie game now. The Chiefs get the pick. After that, the Chargers, before that garbage time drive there at the end, they didn't even end up scoring. 3 plays, 8 yards. 3 plays, 3 yards. 3 plays, 5 yards. I mean, that's about as dominant as it gets. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And I thought it was impressive too because in between those stops, so they get the first stop, Chiefs go 3 and out. They get the second stop, Chiefs get 7 plays in, but they get stopped. They have to punt. And then after the third stop, they get the big return and the Chiefs, pull away. But like, it wasn't like the lead kept ballooning and the Chiefs were just able to be more aggressive. They had to just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And that to me is the mark of a great defense. Like, you're going to have games where things don't go well right away and you're going to have to adjust and you're going to have to bow up a little bit and figure it out. I also thought Amenahu's addition was noticeable immediately and throughout the game. I mean, they had 5 sacks in the game. They could have had 10. They were all over Justin Herbert in that game. I don't even know. Amenahu finished with what? I know he at least had 1 sack.
He had 1.
In 1? Okay. That was great defensive football up front by the Chiefs against a quarterback who, look, if he's got time, he can really hurt you.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. We talked about it earlier in the week, and I think I said, hey, look, like this offense has a lot of explosion. They put up a lot of yards. They can score a lot of points. The Chiefs are going to be tested. It's probably the best offense they'll have faced all year. And that we all needed to remember that the Chiefs weren't going to play, like the steel curtain all year long. That there were going to be times where they struggled, where a team had a good game plan, where they got beat. And for them to come out in that second half, when the Chargers also made adjustments and slowed down the Chiefs offense, for them to do what they did, and just to put a bow on that, here's the Chargers second half possessions for you guys: interception, punt, interception.
Yep.
I mean, that's how, as you put it, that's how you win championships. And I agree with you, man. That pass rush in this game, the big thing that stood out to me was that they were getting pressure at times with 4. And that was what we were hoping that we would. If Menahue's the guy we think he is, it's going to be a problem, because Chris Jones is a whole deal for that defense, and guys are going to get one-on-ones. And Menahu had two quarterback hits. He defended a pass. They're going to be really good down the stretch, I think.
That's a good point. Menahu, the biggest play of the game he made was that deflected pass.
Yep.
He was double teamed, guard center. He stopped, did exactly what you're taught to do. Stopped, he mirrored the quarterback. He saw him cock his arm, and he put his arms up. Put his hands up, got a hand on the ball, interception. Look, and then the other guy that I think, look, there's a lot of guys to get to in this game. I mean, it's funny, like, you obviously were on a few minutes before me. Do we even talk about Mahomes yet, throwing 424 yards? I mean, it was just, By the way, I appreciate Brendan Staley that it took them about 3 quarters to go, Travis Kelce, he's not bad. We might want to cover him at some point. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, imagine being on the other side of that game, and you're just sitting there going, "Are we ever going to cover him at any point?" I mean, do they know he exists?
Yeah.
And 179 yards, whatever he ended up having. But the guy I was going to mention was Rashee Rice is becoming a really good player. Like, not for a rookie, just a really good player. He's now on pace, even after 2 really slow games to start the year. He's on pace for 740 yards. For a rookie in the Chiefs offense, it's more than Tyreek Hill had as a rookie. And I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying, like, to put it in perspective, Rashee Rice is playing really, really good ball. I also think MVS, like, he needed a kind of game like that. Get going. Get out of the doldrums a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, you look at this and go, all right, if MVS can be a complementary player along with Hardman, you got Kelce. If Rice steps up and becomes a legitimate number 1 guy, you don't have that many problems anymore. Like, you fixed a lot of it. Now, look, the Chargers are a grease fire defensively. Okay. Yeah. So let's also factor that in. But the Chiefs in that game, for the most part, were able to throw at will. Again, Mahomes had 424, 4 touchdowns, 10.1 yards per attempt. And all told, the Chiefs finished with 483 yards of offense. Not bad.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Rashee Rice. His stat line, 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a tutty on 6 targets. That looks a lot like your run-of-the-mill Juju Smith-Schuster stat line from last year. And that's exactly what the Chiefs needed on the and I think obviously the comfort level is there. They're going to continue giving him. I'll be interested to see the snap count.
He's going to be a lot better than Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, there was a play in the 4th quarter. They ran like a little tunnel screen to Rice, and some safety came up to hit him, and Rice hit him into next month. Like, he just ran him over like it wasn't even on the field.
Yeah.
That kid has an explosiveness. The one catch he had early in the game, the 38-yarder, I thought he was gone. He caught the ball and accelerated, and I was like, this guy's going to run 90 yards.
Yeah.
Like, that is a game changer for this team. A guy who's not just a deep ball threat over the top, but a guy who, like, get the ball and then he can make a play. He can go get some yardage. Big, powerful, physical kid, and he made it look easy, honestly, quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this, and the Chiefs have talked about it in their press conferences. We're trying to figure some things out. We're trying to figure out how guys work together as the lovely Maisie joins us. Hi, Maisie.
Hi.
Did you have fun at Arrowhead?
With the Chiefs game when you won?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the Chiefs win that night? Yep, and they won tonight. Another win. Beat the Chargers.
Can I have a little candy?
You cannot have a candy.
Yes,
All right,
can.
you. Get out of here.
No.
All right, you.
It's rough. I think you should give her more candy, but it's not my call.
If she stays in her bed at night, she will get more candy.
I'm
But
telling you, she's back there. She's behind you, looking at.
I know she's looking at it. I know. But we have we've struck a deal that she's got to stay in bed and sleep through the night and not keep waking up her mom and dad. And if she does that, she gets candy. And if she doesn't do that, I eat all the candy.
Smart.
So
smart.
it's a bet at this point.
Yeah, it's win-win for you.
Yeah, you have lemon heads. We know. But yeah, in any event, listen, I mean, really the only negative potentially to come out of that game, and it looks like it's going to be more potentially, was Bolton, right? And his wrist. Here's the good news on that. It's not going to be the whole year, even if he broke his wrist. And I got to tell you, like, there's a guy, I mean, in Tranquil, how many teams have a guy like that who can just come in and be a replacement? I mean, my God, that guy's going to come in and play 90% of the snaps, and I don't want to say you're not going to feel it. Bolton's a great player, but Tranquil is a really good starter. It's not like he's even good for a backup. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of insurance there for sure.
Yeah, and they've got Chanel as well, who's been solid for them. That just to touch on Rice again really quickly. I think he settles in now is in not every down, but most of your down route guy. We'll see the snap counts when they come out. Sky Moore. I hate to go negative so early in the podcast of a victory party, but we got to touch on it. I don't know how many snaps he got in this one. 3 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards. Kadarius Toney, one target, 1 reception for 13 yards. Is this it? Like, for the receiving group, we're going to start to see those guys kind of be a little bit more rotational, and we're going to see, MVS and Rashee Rice. I mean, they even had Ross out there. It got a penalty, no catches.
I think that, to be fair to Sky Moore today, and I've been as critical as him about him as anybody, I thought he actually did okay. Like, he had that one where he had the guy beat deep, and Mahomes just missed him. And look, it's fine. I mean, Mahomes is a great game. What are you going to do? But I'm not advocating for more snaps for Sky Moore. But I'm saying that I thought in this game, at least he was visible, where a lot of times you're like, even on the field. That being said, I really think it's getting pretty obvious at this point. Like, look, man, play Rice, a lion's share of the snaps. Play MVS. I know he's been off to a really slow starts here. That guy is a veteran. He knows how to play. Like, put him out there. And then after that, I think you rotate him. Is it Justin Watson when he comes back? Chiefs fans, I know a lot of them can't stand. Look, the guy produces, and Mahomes loves him. So him, Hardman, Toney, I'd rotate those guys. But, like, for me, my one non-starter, if anybody wants to argue with it, Rice has to be out there for like 80% of the snaps. That kid can just flat out play.
Yeah.
That kid, he can win a ball up high. He can make a big play on a quick game type throw. He runs different routes. I mean, how many times have you seen him catch a ball on a slant, catch a ball down the field, catch a ball on a screen, catch a ball on a quick little stop? I mean, he's doing it in a lot of ways. I think you need to be feeding him and then figure it out around him. But I do think MVS should be the second receiver.
I was thinking the same thing during the game, man. I was like, this guy, he's everywhere. Like, they're using him all over the place. He's really multiple. And I think it really should be pointed out too. It's hard as a rookie wide receiver, no matter how good you are, to make a really big impact. Even the top drafted guys, most of them are kind of, they're okay. They're good for a rookie. They're good for a rookie, but they're not crazy. To see what Rashee Rice is doing right now, considering where he played, that should have you really jacked up if you're a Chiefs fan about, well, boy, what if this guy gets better? What if he develops that rapport with Mahomes? Like, is this what we've been waiting for since Tyreek Hill left? And it may well be.
By the way, does Hardman feel like he got paroled? I mean, 31 points on the field. And by the way, Mike Clay just tweeted out the snap counts, and MVS had the most, and then Sky Moore had 39 and Rice had 38.
That's consistent with what we've seen in the last couple of games, which has been about those two getting about the same.
That remains something that makes me physically ill. Look, I think right now, if you are the Chiefs, a couple things are true just in general about this team. One is, we've talked throughout the course of the year, if their biggest problem is Mahomes and it's their passing offense, like at some juncture, that's getting fixed. Well, today might have been some juncture. Okay, that's number one. Number two, and frankly, I think most importantly, this team defensively is so good that if they just score 23 a game, they're winning. Like, I'm not saying every game, like when they play the Dolphins in Philly, maybe they got to score 30. But most weeks, if they crack 20, they're winning the game. They just are. And I think it's got to be said. Like, look, realistically, you could sit there and go, man, the first half of this game, they were second half of the game, Chargers can do anything. The second half of that game, they had one drive, they got picked off, and that was it. I mean, the Chargers 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then a garbage time drive, they ended up getting picked off anyway. Like, the Chiefs' defense is just stifling teams. I mean, think about how many, early on, you're like, wow, it's a lot of big plays, The Chargers ended up not even cracking 6 yards per play in that game. Kansas City was at 7.5. So, and then the third thing I have to say, this division is over. You might as well print the banner up now. Okay.
Yeah.
The Raiders just got boat raced by Tyson Bagent in Chicago. The Chargers are 3.5 back, and Denver is part of the whack at this point. Like, you could just start printing her up. The Chiefs now are 3 up on the Raiders, 3.5 up on the Chargers, and 4 up on Denver with 10 to play. They've beaten 2 of them. Good night. This season now transitions to, can you get the 1 seed? And it didn't hurt that the Bills decided to go to New England and turn Mac Jones into Brett Favre. So Chiefs have to feel very, very good. And, of course, big game tonight in that regard with the Eagles and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think you're going to be rooting pretty hard for the Eagles tonight if you're a Chiefs fan. It's always fun to root for Jason Kelce as long as it's not against the Chiefs. That's a game you want to see the Dolphins lose. It won't be devastating to the Dolphins. It'll really come down to that Chiefs-Dolphins game a little bit later. But it'll really help the Chiefs. And you're right. AFC West is over. Rapid.
No, it's not.
It's done. I mean, the fact that the Raiders are in second place at 3 and 4, and they're not good.
Well,
they're not good.
Also, look, by the way, Andy Reid saying that Nick Bolton dislocated wrist. So hopefully not broken. And if that's the case, still not great, but like a hell of a lot better than if you snapped it.
Yeah.
Look, the one thing about this Dolphins game tonight that really matters, if the Dolphins lose tonight and the Chiefs go in to handle business against Denver, let's say that the Dolphins handle business against New England, the Chiefs will have a shot in that game. If they win in Germany, they're 2 up with a breaker. It's over. I mean, you can make a real argument that the Chiefs maybe only lose 2 more games the entire year. I think for Kansas City, you're in a spot now. You're sitting 6-1, 6-game winning streak, one of the best defenses in the NFL. You're sitting at this thing going, look, beat Denver, and if Miami loses that game tonight, you beat Miami, you might be home free in the AFC. I don't know. I know Baltimore's 5-2. I get it. Baltimore already has 2 conference losses. The Chiefs have none, and the Chiefs are a game up on them. And Baltimore has a hard schedule going forward. Okay, Baltimore still got to play all those teams in that division. They still got to play the Niners. They still got to play Miami. They still got to play Jacksonville. I mean, they're going to lose some games. The Chiefs, on the other hand, at this point, the only games you look at and go, they're definitely hard games. Miami, Philly, Buffalo. And I don't even know how hard the Buffalo game is, quite honestly, at this point. Cincinnati might be hard, might be nothing. It depends. I don't know where you stand on that game. Of course, it's so much later in the year, week 17. But, man, the Chiefs are at a juncture right now. You are 6-1. You got 10 games left. And 5 of your games remaining are Denver, the Raiders twice, the Packers, and the Patriots. You're feeling pretty good about where you are. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I think this is a good litmus test game for Miami, too. It's a big game. It's in prime time. The Eagles are a veteran in that regard. And I will say, though, the rest of Miami's schedule, they got New England, Vegas, the Jets, Washington, Tennessee, the Jets again. They do have to play Dallas, then Baltimore, then Buffalo. So that last stretch could be tough for them, or it could not be. They're really explosive. They're a hard team to beat, but we'll see if teams figure them out. We got a long way to go. But back to our team, the Chiefs. Who else stood out for you in this game on offense or defense?
I mean, a lot of guys on offense. Offensively, they were perfect. I mean, other than a few penalties, my God, what else could you ask for? I will say this, Mike. Can we please stop Clyde Edwards-Helaire just forever for the rest of my life? I mean, did you have pictures of Andy or something? Like, what is happening?
Why'd they put him in to catch that screen pass when they were on like the 1 yard line?
For the love of God, put Jarek McKinnon in to do that.
Okay.
Like not only does he drop the ball right and he falls over. I mean, that's one of those things. If that ball is backwards, like, that's a touchdown for the Chargers. But in any event, look, whatever. I'm not going to get bogged down by that. Shout out to the Chiefs tackles in this game, who basically turned Bosa and Mack into hood ornaments. That's a team that has been toward the top of the league in pressure and sacks and all the rest of it. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing in that game in terms of getting pressure. Where they have 1 sack, I believe. If I'm
one sack, 4 QB hits.
They did nothing in that game. Kenneth Murray had a sack on a blitz. Okay. Khalil Mack had 1 quarterback hit. So did Bosa. And you look at the game. I mean, by the way, Morgan Fox, who had 5 sacks coming into the day, he didn't make the stat sheet in the game. Okay. The Chiefs were dominant up front in the pass blocking scheme. Weren't great in the run game, but in the pass blocking, how many times did Mahomes just drop back and stand there? I mean, all day to throw the ball, and that usually leads to a big day, and it certainly did. And then defensively, to answer the question quick, I said it earlier, Menahu to me was, how could you not notice him? He had multiple pressures. He had a sack. He tipped up a ball that got picked off. I mean, they were everywhere. And by the way, Mike Edwards wasn't like he did a ton. Every time that guy's involved in a play, something good happens. Every time. He was about that close, and people can't see this and are listening to it. He was about 6 inches away from picking off that ball that he broke up and going the distance with it. He's been an excellent find for them this year.
We got a few super chats to get to. Appreciate your support when you all do that out there. And if you're watching on YouTube and you want to support us another way, hit that like button. Let's get more Chiefs fans or any fans in here and talk ball with us. Edric says, can we talk about the goosebumps after McColl's punt return? As Jim Nantz mentioned, Dante, after we all saw the highlights of that era and his returns all week, just another pinch me moment. I think this is where, and I thought Washington was doing a really nice job for them, but he's not McCole Hardman when it comes to speed and agility and the experience doing that. You know, last year they were trying to get McCole Hardman in the lineup to catch balls. This year, they don't need to force him into the lineup if Rashee Rice is doing his thing and MVS is doing his thing and they got other guys. I mean, do you think he could potentially, like, I don't want to get, I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but like, if he's your regular punt returner for the Chiefs with the way this defense is playing, he could possibly go back to the Pro Bowl. He's that good at returning punts.
Well, got off to a pretty late start, so I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But look, the one thing about him is there's always a potential that he could break one. I mean, he is a very explosive returner. Like, he, as a receiver, is kind of a guy. As a returner, he's a very good returner. And the one thing I love with Hardman, for the most part, does not fumble the ball. Like, I don't have a ton of fear that, oh God, is the ball going to go right through his hands? Or not saying it can't happen, whatever, but like that does not happen very often. Look, I think the bottom line is with Hardman, you add a guy back into the building. Like when the trade happened, I talked about it on my Twitter Spaces with the super followers. Like, look, I don't think adding Hardman is some game changer. Like, oh, now everything's fixed at receiver. I do think you add a guy who has familiarity with the scheme, who Mahomes has familiarity with, who's been part of winning 2 Super Bowls with that team, and a guy who in the return game gives you something. He can give you something in the jet sweep game. Like, he's not great, but he's an upgrade. And look, you're going to snub your nose on an upgrade if you're the Chiefs. By the way, Nick Wright points out now, Patrick Mahomes leads the NFL in touchdown passes. So after all of this with this team, like he's probably right now, depending on what happens with Tua tonight, he's probably MVP of the league.
Not bad. We'll take it. Wiley Possum, thank you for the super chat. Welcome back, Hardman. Made plays when it mattered. Absolutely. Rhett Frigo, appreciate you. Great win. Wide receivers need to be better in man defense. I'd rather Pat throw an incompletion than CEH get a carry. He's good for -2 to 2 yards per touch. Do you agree with that, Verderame?
Why they continue to do this with him, I have no idea. I was damn near ready to lose my mind. That one drive they started where they ran the ball. No, it was the drive that he dropped that pass.
Yeah.
They throw the ball to him, and then they ran the ball. And to be fair, he actually had a nice run. He gained like 6-7 yards. I'm thinking to myself, here you are. You're backed up at the 2, and you're like, you know what? This is a good time to get Clyde some touches. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Why? What do you do? It's just the kind of stuff that you're like, that could cost you. But I got to be fair. They've done that crap for years on end, and they just keep winning Super Bowls. I mean, I'll never forget, because it's the play that to this day I wake up in a cold sweat over. That play in the 13 seconds game where Blake Bell ran the option. That is the worst call known to mankind.
Yeah.
And it came in maybe the defining win outside of the Super Bowls of this team's whole legacy. Like, they do stuff that you just go, what are you doing? Why? But like, I'm not surprised he dropped it. And with the Chiefs the way they are, I wouldn't have been surprised if he caught it and ran 98 yards for a touchdown. Like, it's just who they are. I don't get it. Drives me crazy. But thankfully it didn't hurt him.
Jeremy Cochran, our guy, appreciate the super chat. Put in $4.99 just to say, can we please stop CEH? Please, for the love of God.
It has to be stopped.
Yeah.
Somebody, anybody.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Swinghammer, by the way, who gifted 5 memberships. If those all haven't been snagged yet, if you want to become a part of the Arrowhead Addict community, please check out the link in the description. We've got a membership program. We do happy hours. We got a fantasy football league going, which I'm currently dominating. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to support the show and the community that we're building here. Thank you, Michael. It's so kind of you, man. And then Daniel with the super chat. Wasn't this another offseason? The Chargers were supposed to take the division. Somebody forgot to tell the Chargers. I did see, I don't think it was as bad as in previous years, but I did see one article on ESPN, a long form, about how this could be the year the Chargers stop charging. And they asked them about it, and they were like, yeah, we charger. We're not going to do it. It's just every year.
They just stink, man. Like, you know what? I'm not even going to give great analysis. They just stink. Like, you watch these games, and I said it earlier, and it's the perfect analogy to me, or example, I should say, to why they stink. You play the Chiefs every single year, twice a year. Travis Kelce has been on the team for essentially since the dawn of time at this juncture. And Brendan Staley just apparently doesn't know he exists. Like, they went into that game from the first drive on. How many yards did he have in the first half? It was what, $124, something like that?
A lot.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Last year, when the Chiefs had no receivers left because they were all hurt, they played in that game on Sunday night at SoFi. Kelce had 3 touchdown catches. Had a huge night. You go into this game, you know the receivers have struggled. They don't love to run the ball. Like, here it comes. And the Chargers decided to play middle field open defense. Hey, man, hope it works out with Kenneth Murray and Eric Kendrickson underneath coverage. Good luck. I mean, that's like if the Chiefs put Willie Gay on Keenan Allen all night and just went, I don't know. I hope it works. I don't know. I mean, it's amazing how many game plans you'd have to go through before you said to yourself, if you're Brendan Staley, you know what? This is the one where Kelce's going to go for 200. Let's do this.
Right.
It's just incredible. And then, by the way, late in the game, they're down by a touch. They kept getting the ball back. And Kellen Moore, who's supposed to be this guy who's like, he's this great offensive mind. How's that going? They scored 24 on the Raiders, who can't stop anybody. And it was the beneficiary of 1 million turnovers and sacks in that game. They scored 17 on the Cowboys, 7 of which came on the first drive of the game, which was 40 yards. And another 7 came on a muff punt inside the 30-yard line. And then today, 17 in the first half. And then the Chiefs looked like the 85 Bears for the last quarter and a half of the game. Like, I just look at the Chargers and go, you can talk about the quarterback. You can talk about some of the ancillary talent. They stink. They stink every year. And now they're 2-4, and it's a long damn climb to making the playoffs. Maybe they find some way to do it. I don't think they will. And as far as the AFC West is concerned, good night. As long as the Chiefs don't have some horrific injuries, you can just chalk it up, write it down, and fly the banner. It's over.
Shout out to our guy, one of our members, Sloth Style, who's been a member for over a year. The Chargers should be forced to change their name because they bring shame to a cool-ass car. Agree with you there, Slothy. And I'll tell you, man, like, it's not going to get any easier for them. And they do have a game coming up against Chicago on Sunday Night Football.
Would you really be shocked if they lost that game?
I wouldn't be. I would. There's not
they
a game.
should win by 20 points.
Yeah.
Would you really be shocked if
No.
Chicago went in there and just found some way to beat them?
There's not a game that the Chargers could lose that I would be like, oh, I can't believe they lost that game.
Incredible.
They can lose any game. But they should. I don't know. Are they able to flex yet? Can they get that one the hell out of Sunday Night Football?
They can flex, but they would have already done it. So you're looking at Bears Chargers all day and half the night.
That's brutal. That's brutal, especially after. Well, at least we get a good game tonight. They got the Bears, and then they go to New York, and that one is on Monday Night Football. That can't be flexed out either. So sorry, America. You're gonna get those ones. Then they got Detroit. Then they got Green Bay. They play Baltimore again. They play Buffalo. They got to play the Chiefs again. I mean, the Chiefs, you're sitting here at 6-1. Right now, as we record this, the best record in the NFL. No team has more than 5 wins, except the Kansas City Chiefs. That won't be the case after tonight. But
correct.
The Chiefs still get to play the Raiders twice.
Yeah,
they take care of business in that.
That's a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Play them on Christmas Day. By the way, Andy Reid at the podium says Taylor Swift can continue to come by the stadium as much as she'd like because Travis Kelce is just getting better and better.
And your point about the Chargers.
Yep.
It really is like, nobody's going to fault you for not being able to stop Travis Kelce, right? Like he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to get his. You just try to do your best to slow him down.
Right.
Much in the way that the Chiefs were able to slow down Keenan Allen tonight and not let him take over the game.
Yes.
But if you're the ownership of the Chargers, I mean, as you mentioned, time after time, he always eats these guys alive. Always. How can you not have a better plan to slow him down, keep him to 80 yards?
Right. And that's where you just like, I'm not saying Staley's got to do something where Kelce has 3 catches for 20 yards, but like, man, he's not only torching them on a day like that, he's wide open. Yeah. Like wide open. Most of those throws are hilariously open. He'd catch the ball, turn, and then just start running. And like, all right. I mean, I guess they don't care. He's gonna go for it again. It's really to a point where you look at them and the Chargers, that is, and just go, there's no plan here. I'm sorry. There's no plan to this. Sometimes you have a good plan and great players just beat you. And that happens. And you know what? You just lived that. Sometimes some guy makes 5 unbelievable catches, or maybe Mahomes makes some great throws. Hey, okay. It was so easy for the Chiefs in this game to just go down the field like nothing. And look, you know what? If MVS goes off and torches you, you'll live with it if you stop Kelce. If Pacheco is 150 yards on the ground because you were trying to stop Kelce, it's not great for the Chargers, but you live with it. To get beat in the most obvious way over and over and over, and then just never adjust. Like, just be like, that's fine. We'll just let him kill us. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had 124 yards in the first half. Pretty sure. He finished the game with what, 172? I think was the final tally.
I think it's 179.
179. So if I'm right with the 124, and somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong with it, you look at him in the second half, go, man, only 55 yards. 55 yards! Like, for most games, it's a huge number. And, like, it's the Chargers, like, just thank God we limited it to 55 yards there in the second half. I mean, it's just ridiculous. How bad of a coach do you have to be to just do that over and over? They do it every year. He just kills them. It's incredible.
Especially coming into this game, the Chiefs were struggling to get anybody else other than Travis Kelce going in the receiving game. I'd had 4 guys on him.
Bro, beat me any other way. Like any other way. Yeah. I would have, remember, you were at the game. You and I have talked about this. I know you remember this. The 2010, the opener, they played the Chargers at Arrowhead. Cluster had that big return, the punt return. Yeah. It was during the dark ages, but it was a nice night. And the last play of that game, the Chargers it was like 4th and goal, like the 5 or something.
Yeah.
The Chiefs put 3 guys on Antonio Gates like they were punt gunners.
They locked arms.
It literally was a picket fence. And they were like, you're not beating us. Anybody else, one-on-one, go for it.
Yeah.
How the Chargers sat in soft zone and just said, I don't know, beat us, fine, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's such malpractice But we've seen this. This is now the third year. Like, it's not going to change. It's not going. Like, God knows. Now they don't play him again until week 18 at SoFi, okay, which is basically another home game. I don't know that the Chiefs are going to need that game, so they may just not even play. If the Chiefs need that game, mark it down right now. Lock it in. He's going for another $150. Like, they just won't cover him.
Yeah.
And by the way, lastly, I know I'm talking it. Kelce, so 179 yards. That puts him, I can do the quick math, that puts him at 525 yards on the year. He missed a game. He's at 525. So even factoring in that he missed it, so let's just say 525 over 7. Okay. He's averaging 75 yards a game, which means for the season, he's on pace for 1275, even though he missed a game and barely played in the second one. 1275. The man ages like the finest wine you've ever met in your life. I hope he and Taylor Swift have the love story of a lifetime. Chiefs 6-1.
The only thing I could think of is that the Chargers thought they were going to get pressure with 4, and they thought that they had an advantage on the offensive line. It's the only way. It's the only way that works is if you're getting home right away, and you don't have time for Kelce to go find the soft spots in the zone. I don't know how they didn't figure it out after the first quarter. They weren't like, you know what? This isn't working.
That almost felt like, and you might be well right, but to me, that's even more the point. Like, then why wouldn't you get up on him and be like, hey, we're not going to give up an easy completion here. Like, no, just the easiest. Like, the linebackers for the Chargers can't cover anybody. Murray can't cover. Kendricks can't cover. The Chargers in this game, the first 2.5 quarters were like, we're going to play 2 deep. We're going to split our safeties. We're going to have them split wide, leaving the middle of the field wide open. And we're going to hope that our 2 linebackers who couldn't cover me in space are like, hey, listen, you handle Travis Kelce. You let us know how things play out. It's impossibly bad, coach. It's like when all those years of Bob Sutton where we would sit there and be like, you're in the same coverage every damn down, Bob. At some point, like Tom, he's going to figure it out. And they just keep doing it. And you're like, it's like how they had, like, what was it, Justin Houston on Antonio Brown in the playoff game?
Yeah.
You just sit there and go, how is this possible that you're an NFL coach and you're doing this? The Chargers are Bob Sutton. It's just every week it's some other ridiculous thing, which is why I would not be shocked at all if the Bears go in there and beat them. Would not be remotely surprised they go in there and beat them. I don't think they will, but they could.
Another play that they had that I actually called what was going to happen. The Chiefs ended up punting on this drive, but do you remember the big run that Mahomes had when they had the 3rd and long? And
when they dropped everybody 20 yards off the line.
They were all standing back. And I said to them, before they snapped the ball, I turned to my wife and I said, Mahomes needs to run this for a first down. He's going to have grass for days. Drops back. He runs it first down. And my wife said, how did you know that was going to happen? I was like, watch the replay. I said, look at the Chargers. And they're all just lined back up there like they're waiting for a firing squad. And then it was just, I don't know why teams keep doing that. Like,
what's the best part about that? Because to your point, I didn't think about the running so much, but I was on the phone with my dad. I said, the second I saw them in the defense, they went, I'm like, this is heaven sent for a conversion. Like, they're going to have all day because they're telling the offensive line we're not no threat of any kind of extra pressure. So you know what's coming. And with Mahomes, he's going to get some time in the pocket. He'll scramble out if he needs it. And then to your point, the second he took off, I was like, oh, he's going to pick this up because there's nobody there. It's like they thought they were playing Phillip Rivers, just stone feet, right? But again, it goes to coaching. It's just the dumbest possible way to play a football game. And that's now why they're 2-4. And you're sitting there looking at the Chargers going, I don't know where this thing's headed, man. I mean, yes, they do have the Bears next week. After that, they're at the Jets. They could definitely lose that game. Then they're home to the Lions. They could definitely lose that game. At Green Bay, they should win. The Ravens could lose that Sunday night game. At New England, I got to tell you, you look at New England and think, well, they stink, and they do stink. It's Bill Belichick and Brendan Staley. I mean, by the way, real quick, what do you think, not to take a left turn here, Bills with a ridiculous loss for the second time this year, now 4-3. You think like they're just like scuffling, they're going to come out of this, or this is just who they are and they're going like 9-8, 10-7 this year?
I think they'll come out of it because I just think they've got Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are so good. But I do think, though, that this is who they are. And I think our guy Nick Wright had called it a while ago that Josh Allen is magic. He calls him Magic Mountain. He's up and down. He's up and down.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's who he is. And I think that one season where he was just really consistently fantastic all year long was a little bit of an outlier. Remember, like, he was a guy who struggled mightily early on in his career. And then he found his groove and has been a really great story. But I think that they're talented enough that they're going to win enough games that I think they'll have a respectable, record. But like, is the 1 seed in play for them? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go on some kind of crazy run. I don't think their team's good enough. And I think their quarterback is too inconsistent for them to do it.
I kind of think this is who they are. Like, I think they'll make the playoffs. I'm not saying I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll go like 10-7. But their schedule, I don't know if you've looked at this. Their schedule is impossible. They play 4-3. They got Thursday night to play the Bucs at home. You think they'd win, but God only knows. They play the Dolphins on the road, the Eagles on the road, Chiefs on the road, Bengals on the road. They have to play. There's another game. They play Dallas at home. They could easily be 10-7 and sitting there going, maybe you're a 7 seed, you're a 6 seed. Now look, nobody's lining up to play that team in January. But I kind of look at the Bills this year. Now, part of this, to be fair to them, is injuries on the defensive side too. So factor that in. Other than Stephon Diggs, who the hell scares you on that team? Who's the guy? Like Gabe Davis, listen, man, I respect him. He's kind of a guy. Like, he's not a bad player, but he's very inconsistent. He doesn't really. Yeah, I've always liked Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox has been a hood ornament this year. I mean, he has done nothing. You look at Dawson Knox this season. Today, by the way, Dawson Knox had 1 catch for 10 yards. For the year, he has 102 receiving yards. They drafted Dalton Kincaid, who had a great day today. 8 catches, 75 yards on 8 targets. For the year, is a buck 93. No touchdowns. I mean, Gabe Davis today, 1 catch, 6 yards. On the year, he has 347 yards. I don't know. Like, what am I? They ran for 3.4 yards today. It's just like, you look at them. Allen had another pick. You just look at them and you're like, I don't know, man. I mean, that defense before all the injuries was really good, but now you're down White, you're down Daquan Jones, you're down Milano. I just think they're dangerous, but they're just kind of there. I don't look at them as a team that can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and if the season ended right this moment, they're the 7 seed. They're the 7 seed, and the Bengals are outside looking in. Now they're on a bye week, of course, but they're
they play the Niners and the Bills,
right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's wild. One last thing, I just wanted to say one more thing about those deep coverages that the Chiefs see sometimes that allow Mahomes to run. I noticed this tonight, and I noticed it the last time it happened. It was Kelce. When you talked about coaching and why that's just bad coaching. On the flip side of that, the good side, those receivers, if you watch them when those plays happen, the second they see Mahomes start to run, they turn around and sprint to the end zone. Well, they block, but they also, like, if there's a guy by the sticks. So the last time it happened, Mahomes ran to like right where Kelce was standing when he took off, and Kelce looked over his shoulder and just saw Mahomes just start to move forward, and Kelce turned around and ran upfield, took his man away. By the time the guys figure out that Mahomes is taken off, they're already too far upfield. And I saw that happen again. Same thing. Mahomes ran to a spot, and whoever the receiver was over there by the pylon turned and ran upfield when he saw Mahomes coming, and his defender went with him. That's good coaching on the Chiefs. And that's why, and those are the little things that they don't show up in the stat sheet. But IQ plays like that well-coached teams make, that's what makes you into a championship team.
At some point, I don't know that SI would love this as my allocation of time. I have to look up every third down scramble that Mahomes has ever had in his career and see what the percentage is that he picks up first down. It genuinely, seriously, has got to be over 80%.
Yeah.
Every time that guy takes off on third down, I don't care if it's 3rd and 20. I'm like, he's probably picking this up. It's uncanny. He's not like the best scrambler in the league, but he's got to be the most efficient or clutch, whatever you want to say. I mean, it feels like every time he takes off, every time on a third, it's first down. He's got it. Not a problem. By the way, I just did the numbers. He's on pace for 4,900 passing yards and 36 touchdowns.
It's pretty good. That can get it done.
Yep, not bad.
And he's been meh for him this year at times.
For him, he's been downright bad in a handful of these games, and he's just no problem. It's fine. No, don't worry about it. And to the point of him running, he ran 4 times for 29 yards today. On the season, he's up over 200 yards. He's on pace for over 500 yards rushing. They win. He wins. Yeah. He's a great player, and they find ways to win because of him and because of some other guys too. But I mean, he is driving them. He's driving the bus, and they are now 6-1 in a division that is over before we even get to Halloween. So that's where we stand with the Chiefs.
A couple more super chats. Our guy on the money to CEH have pictures on Andy, 4 years of this. And then he kicked in $2 more and said another 2 for a rapid health of Bolton. Appreciate that. Another super chat from Derek Watson. Appreciate you, man. If we can beat the Dolphins, then the AFC is ours to lose. I think you're 100%.
Yes.
The Chiefs do have some tough games coming up in the second half of their schedule. They got to play Philly again. But when we talked about this team at the beginning of the season, Verderame, you and I both agreed that they could be going. I had a wacky prognostication very early on when the schedule came out, and I said, I think they might be undefeated when they play Philly in the Super Bowl rematch.
You're not far off.
And I wasn't too far off. If they catch the balls in the first game, they are undefeated. They're probably going to win next week in Denver. It's wild, man. They're really good, and they have not played great. It's feeling like another one of those seasons. We'll see how it continues to come together. But you look at the second half of their schedule. You got that game in Miami and Germany. That's a big one. Then they get a break. Then you get the Super Bowl rematch. And then some of that second half of the schedule where we were like, well, the second half's a little bit tougher. At Vegas, at Green Bay, Buffalo we just talked about, New England, Vegas again. And then you got Cincinnati, who's you don't know what they're going to be either. And then they play the Chargers. I mean, they could. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they could lose 2 games tops this season.
I think if they look to me, the games that, like I said earlier, are definitely games you're like, all right, that's a game that gets your attention. You got Miami and Germany. You have a bye week. Come out, you play Philly. You get the Bills, who are going to be off a bye week going into that game against Kansas City. I don't know if Cincinnati's a tough game or not. I don't know yet. And then the Chargers on the road week 18. It's week 18, so you don't know. That could either mean nothing for both teams. It could mean everything for one of them. I don't know. The Chiefs have 5 games. They just flat out plow the teams to play. Okay, the Raiders twice, the Pats, the Packers, the Broncos. Those they should. Doesn't mean they will. They should beat those teams handily. I mean, those other 5 games, 3-2 feels like fairly respectable. Like that'd be 14-3. I'm like, could they do better than that? Yeah, they could. I mean, right now, realistically, would you pick them to lose at home to Buffalo? No, I wouldn't. Would you pick them to lose to the Chargers if the game means anything? No. Would you pick them to lose at home to Cincinnati? Based on what you know right now, no. I mean, that leaves the Dolphins and the Eagles. Would I pick them to lose both of those games? No. Maybe split them. So, I mean, now I always try to factor in. There's probably some stupid game they'll lose because every team loses stupid games. I think they're probably going to go like 14-3. They go 14-3, they're probably the 1 seed, no matter how they do it. And that's why tonight's important, man. You watch this game tonight. Look, Miami loses. It's 2 losses. And the Chiefs will have a chance, assuming they can handle Denver, to put Miami in a spot where they'd be 2 back with 8 to play and the Chiefs have a breaker. That's probably good night. So the Chiefs are in a very good spot right now. They're in a very good spot. They deserve to be in the spot they're in. They fought hard after that loss early in the year. It feels like a lifetime ago with Kelce and Jones and all that stuff. Here they are, 6-1, and very arguably the best team in the NFL.
All right, let's give out some hardware on this game. Let us know in the chat as well who earned your Arrowhead for their performance in this game. Verderame, who are some guys you're giving Arrowheads to for their performance tonight?
The tackles. I thought Juwan Taylor and Donovan Smith. By the way, everybody worried about Donovan Smith coming into this year. The guy's been nails. Those 2 guys. I mean, Mahomes, obviously Mahomes and Kelce, no question. But to me, like the undersung guy, the tackles, Charles Menahem. I thought he was brilliant in the game. I thought he completely altered the game. He was present from the first drive on. The Chargers had no answer for them. They had 5 sacks. They could have had 8 or 9. The one thing you notice is you're at Spags. They don't even blitz that much. They don't have to. They're so damn good up front. And then, look, at some point you would imagine, I would think, Frank Clark's coming back. And so it's just one more guy. But they are rolling up front.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting to see this defense getting stronger with the addition of Charles Omenihu. Yeah, I'm giving an Arrowhead to Mahomes. Just absolutely ridiculous performance by him. The interception, he's taken a shot. It happens. Don't really have a problem with that. He threw 4 touchdowns, so that's the ratio you're looking for. Kelce, was this the most receiving yards he's ever had in a game?
I don't know. I don't know that it is. I think he's had 200 a couple times. So I
Has
don't
he?
think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's got to be up there. Absolutely stunning performance by him. 12 catches on 13 targets. I'm going to give one to MVS. He was getting torn up on this very show. He was getting torn up for not being productive enough, and he showed up tonight and had a couple of nice plays. He had the downfield one. He had that little hitch route he ran where, some people were questioning, has he lost a step? It looked all right to me on some of those plays. So maybe he finally gets going for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I think, look, they're in a great spot. They're in a great spot. And now it's about staying healthy. Hopefully Bolton comes back sooner rather than later here. Tranquil can hold it down. They're in a spot where they're 6-1 and they're rolling. And if that offense gets rolling to any degree the way it has in past years, forget it. Because the defense is lights out. They're the fastest defense in the NFL. That is what I can't wait to watch when they play the Dolphins. The Dolphins are the fastest offense we've seen in a really long time. I'm not saying the Chiefs run like Tyreek Hill on defense because nobody runs like Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs can fly on defense. That is going to be a very, very interesting little part of that whole equation.
Yeah, I am really excited for that game. I wish I could go to Germany to see it. One quick question for you, Verderame. If this Chiefs team has a weakness, it seems like, particularly on the defense, it seems like they're struggling a little bit in the running game and a little bit at defensive tackle. Could you see them as the trade deadline approaches? Everybody was talking about, trade for a wide receiver. Could you see them making a move to try to just get a run stuffer in there?
I don't, because speaking of people around the league and around the team, I don't think they want to give up much more in draft capital. They've given away a little bit here. But the other thing is, I don't think the D tackles played that poor. I think Nadi's played pretty well. Now, I would argue, depth-wise, it's a little shaky at times, although they have so many guys who can rotate in and play D tackle, like Menahu and Dana. I think part of it with them is I don't think they care if they give up some rush yardage because nobody can throw the damn ball. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you're like, listen, I know you can't sit there and say, well, if this run didn't happen, because it happened. I mean, it factors in. It's stupid logic, okay? But to indulge for a minute, outside of Joshua Kelly's 49-yard run, which was a bad job all the way around, the Chargers had 25 carries for 90 yards in that game. Austin Eckler had 14 carries for 45 yards, did nothing. So, to me, and Herbert, as hard as he started out, he was 17 of 30, 259. Okay, decent, average yards, 8.6, very good. A touchdown, 2 picks, sacked 5 times. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you'll take that. I mean, I know overall you gave up a lot of yards, 358, which by today's standards isn't even that bad. But, if you're the Chiefs, if teams can't throw the ball on you, you're probably winning. I mean, unless something wild happens, you probably win the game.
Yeah. Well, look, it's been a great show, everybody. Thank you so much for your support in the comments. Shout out to all of our members who have had our back for a couple of years now. You guys are the absolute best. Gifting subscriptions. Again, if you're interested in becoming part of the Arrowhead Addict team, the community that we have here, getting into the private Discord, getting into the happy hours, all that stuff, check out the link in the description. Fantastic win for the Chiefs. Now we all get to relax, watch a really good Sunday night football game. Hopefully it's not a bust. And just real quick before we go, Verderame, the Lions. What the hell happened to them?
Not good. Not good. Not. You know, it's hilarious though. Now they get the Raiders on Monday night, so they're going to be keyed up like nobody's business. Raiders can enjoy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got pounded. Baltimore sent the message.
Yeah. Every once in a while, teams have those kinds of games. Hopefully it won't happen to the Chiefs. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be back next week, starting on Tuesday with our regular slate of shows. We will see you then. For Matt Verderame, for producer Richard, my name is Patrick Allen. Again, we'll see you next time. But as always, go Chiefs.